Okay, Megan, it is Wednesday, March 17th. Oh, it's St. Patrick's Day. So today we lead off the show talking about Nick Cannon on the Soul of the Nation program last night, talking about um, atoning for um, racially insensitive things that he said in the past. I'm going to freely admit, I don't know what he said. But apparently it was anti-Semitic, and he got in a lot of trouble for it. And now he is talking about, uh, atoning for that, more than just saying "I'm sorry" and "I'm sorry for anyone who was hurt by it," but actually doing the work to understand why what he did was wrong, where what he did came from, how to prevent himself from doing it again. And you know, I you talked at some point, I think it was during maybe it was on Martin Luther King Day, about you've really learned over the last year the ability to listen, when others speak, to to learn about your own uh, shortcomings or blind spots. About, in that case, you were talking about racial equality, and you haven't really demonstrated very much your ability to listen and learn and grow. Your co-hosts all gave very thoughtful responses to this, about it being all of our own responsibility to break down our own biases. And the general theme of it is that the way we do that is through conversation, through listening, through learning. And Joy also made the example. She used some quote from somebody, I don't remember who it was. Basically about you expanding your horizons through education and travel. And of course, you take that to mean something super literal about Nick Cannon. Well, Nick Cannon went to Howard University, and he was married to Mariah Carey, so I'm sure he's traveled, and he's still racist. So, but because of course you can't extrapolate anything, and you and Joy just like to needle each other, which also, by the way, is getting a little old. Um, and I don't believe that the two of you actually want to have dinner together. Anyway, so your co-hosts, talked about the responsibility that we all have to understand our own shortcomings, right? And that when we learn that we have done something or said something that is offensive, we take the time to understand why and make the effort to not do it again. Um, and that, you know, that's how we all grow. Not everybody seems to have the willingness or desire to do that. Um, but you just decide you're going to use your time to talk about something about. First, you say, when we were talking about canceling Dr. Seuss, why aren't we canceling all these other works of art? And again, nobody canceled Dr. Seuss, Megan. For you to start your argument that way is disingenuous. It, you're just perpetuating misinformation, and it's lazy. It's just a Fox News conservative talking point that it just tries to trigger the libs, and or I guess in this case trigger the conservatives, because Dr. Seuss wasn't canceled, and continuing to frame it in that way is really just a misrepresentation of the truth. So stop doing it. I know you won't, but I have to tell you. So you talk about, rather than talking about the journey of trying to learn from each other, right, which is what really Nick Cannon is talking about. You want to talk about how, as a society, we forgive anti-Semitism more than anything else. because that's how you feel. You don't have any data on that. That's how you feel. I don't know how one goes about determining what group of people has more bias against them, because your statement coming out of nowhere, I don't know, it's just kind of gay. I don't know if you're retarded or it's just because you think like a girl. I don't know. How do you determine who has more bias against them? What group of people have the you can go by statistics for hate crimes. None of that stuff is going to work, because you're never going to get the all of the daily microaggressions, and the implicit bias that you really can't track. So to then decide not only that, well, I guess you didn't say that that Jewish people are more have more bias against them. You said it's forgiven more easily. And again, I don't know how you measure that. If you can't measure the bias to begin with, I don't know how you measure the forgiveness of those transgressions. But you decided to spend your time talking about removing anti-Semitism. You said this is bigger than Nick Cannon. It's about not forgiving anti-Semitism. It's about not forgiving all of it. And it's a really weird tack to take about focusing in on anti-Semitism. I understand what he said was anti-Semitic, and I don't know that he's getting a pass on this. He's saying, what he's doing is actually part of the helping process, right? To say, hey, I fucked up. This is how I'm going to make sure I don't do that again. But also in the same time saying, but I'm still learning. So if I do fuck up again, then I go through this process further, and continue to evolve. But especially right now in an environment, we just had in Atlanta a hate crime against Asians, and the hate crimes against Asians have been increasing mostly because the president, the leader of your party, the former what does Sonny call him? The disgraced, twice impeached former President Trump, fueled hatred towards Asians by calling the coronavirus the China flu, the Asian flu, making all sorts of racist remarks about pandemic, which has put Asian people in great peril. So I don't know that you made the best choice today. And when we're talking about atonement and we're talking about reconciliation, and learning how to listen, there's another talk show on TV right now going through a huge turmoil about defending Piers Morgan. Sharon Osbourne on the talk had quite an interesting and an emotional discussion with her co-hosts. I haven't seen all of it, but that right there is a real opportunity for people to learn how to talk and listen. She didn't do a very good job of listening. She did a good job of talking and then saying, but I'm not racist, without listening to what the people were telling her about why what she's saying could be hurtful. And I think you could learn a lesson from that, about listening in the moment and not being defensive. Also, again, learning how to stay on topic. And then, John Carl is great. He had a nice segment explaining the difficulties of the Biden administration in its first, are we into 60 days yet? Not yet. And, again, you talk about what's going on at the southern border. At least you qualified it as southern border this time. And you're going to get the same answer. You just saw in the morning President Biden on TV saying, on TV to George Stephanopoulos, yes, the message is, please don't come right now. We aren't ready for you. And I know you're just dying to harp on an issue, but again, we're less than 2 months in, so you can take your all of your need to criticize and temper it a little bit with speed. There is no magic button to press. Oh, the administration has changed. Everything's better. Yet apparently you seemed to think that was going to happen. And Unity is just going to, ride in on its horse. But it didn't. And then you said to Nick Offerman and Meghan Mullally that you have, relationship goals to be like them with your husband. And I think for you to get anywhere near that, each of you would have to start by having a little more humanity and stop spreading hateful rhetoric on TV and on the internet. Start there.